Good Fortune addresses a really big topic in a delightful way. I'm a storyteller, and I like to break down movies into their key moments and character journeys. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. Good Fortune is about the differences in economic classes between the people at the top of the pyramid and the people working in the gig economy. That's the big theme of the film that gets addressed through three characters. We see Gabriel, Arj, and Jeff. Arj is played by Aziz Ansari, and he's a gig economy worker who's struggling. He can't make ends meet no matter how many tasks he does, and he's actually sleeping in his car in the parking lot of a grocery store just to get by. Life is looking pretty bleak for him. But he meets Jeff, who is a venture capitalist in a really big fancy home somewhere in California. And Jeff has no problems, seemingly no problems, just like we expect of people who are in the top of the pyramid, kind of running big multi-million dollar businesses. Arj gets assigned a task to work with Jeff, and they get along, so to say. Arj gets a week long experiment to do odds and ends at Jeff's command, and Arj's life seems to be getting better. Right, he goes from sleeping in his car in one moment to sleeping in a hotel, and things are looking up for him until he gets in a situation where he gets in trouble, and Jeff ends up firing him. This is where Arj kind of loses everything. Um, he has all these unpaid parking tickets, so his car actually gets towed. He can't pay for the motel he was staying in, and his life is looking pretty bleak. In comes Gabriel, played by Keanu Reeves, who is a guardian angel. But Gabriel is kind of an angel who is making mistakes. He's not one of the great angels. We see that. We see that he's kind of assigned to lower duties. He's assigned to actually help people who are like texting and driving become aware just at the right moment so that they don't get mortally wounded. That's his job as an angel. But Gabriel wants more out of his job. He wants to be able to change people. He wants to be able to save lives and and really have emotional attachment like he can see in the other angels in his cohort. But Gabriel is kind of a low on the chain, so to say, low on the pole, kind of guy in the hierarchy of angels in this film. And Gabriel sees that Arj is kind of in this desperate moment, and he chooses to intervene. But he intervenes without the authority to intervene, and all kinds of stuff goes awry. Gabriel's intervention is to swap places between Arj and Jeff. Gabriel gives Arj Jeff's life, and Jeff Arj's life. And so Arj wakes up in Jeff's mansion. He's a venture capitalist who has all the money that he could ever want. And Gabriel is trying to convince Arj that his life isn't really that bad, and that it's worth living, and that his station on Earth is worthy and something that he should go back to. But unfortunately, like outwardly, Arj in Jeff's life, Arj has everything. He can do anything he wants. He can buy anything he wants. He doesn't have any problems like he had that were related to money. Um, and Jeff, at this moment, Jeff isn't really conscious until Gabriel wakes him up and kind of gives his memory back. And then the conflict ensues between Gabriel, Arj, and Jeff. Um, the big plot here is that Arj has to want to go back to his life, and Gabriel and Jeff are kind of at the whim of Arj's ability to choose to go back. And Arj, of course, doesn't want to give up this multi-million dollar lifestyle while Jeff is struggling all day, every day in the gig economy trying to make ends meet. Gabriel messes up a few times and he actually gets demoted. He doesn't just get demoted in his angel hierarchy to a lower form of angel, he gets demoted to becoming human. And that's actually kind of cool for Gabriel because he's always been an angel and he's never known what it is to be human. So we get these wonderful moments with Keanu Reeves experiencing things like drinking a milkshake and delightful, fun, experiences that remind us of how beautiful life is if we look at it. Not just look at it through the lens of the struggle, but look at it through the joy that we're able to partake and receive through everyday um, things of just, being human. So Gabriel's character is really, really wonderful in that way. But we still have this problem where Arj, Jeff, and Gabriel aren't living their full lives. Arj tries to connect with some of the old people that are from his former life. In particular, a woman that he likes named Elena. And Elena sees Arj in this new life, but she doesn't know him. And as they get together, we can see that there's a cultural difference between the lifestyle that Arj is living and the lifestyle that Elena lives as part of the gig economy type working um, person in those kind of economic roles. So that conflict reminds Arj that there's beauty in the life that he had before he got Jeff's life, and it escalates to a point where Arj feels lonely. The people that he wants to hang out with don't know him, and they won't know him, and they just see him as kind of an object with money. Um, and Arj comes to this moment where he kind of realizes, my life is worth living. And so there's this 5-second moment of change between Gabriel and Arj. Are sitting on a bench, and both of them actually have 5-second moments of change. They help each other. They support each other at this moment in the film. Arj uh, kind of walks upon Gabriel, who's crying on a bench. Gabriel describes what's happening. He likes being human. It's beautiful, but he really misses being an angel. He wants to go back to that, but he can't because he keeps messing up. And so this is Gabriel's 5-second moment of change, where he realizes that in this moment he is just a nobody, and the higher ups who assigned him these menial tasks were actually right. That his skills weren't good enough to go in and do big things like guiding people and saving souls, what Gabriel really wanted to do at the beginning of the film. And Arj says, "Hey, Gabriel, don't worry. Just keep trying. Push through, and you're gonna make it, and you're gonna get the things that you want. Because I'm so happy that you're my guardian angel, um, but I want you to, I want you to keep pushing, so that you can get your and reach your dreams." And so that kind of Gabriel changes in that moment from somebody who um, has given up, someone who is very self-doubting, to someone who can now go and move forward and do the tasks that are assigned to him. Gabriel is someone who can go and recognize that he needs to build his skills instead of just trying to jump ahead and be like all the other angels. In that moment, also, Gabriel supports Arj's 5-second moment of change. Arj kind of hears himself saying these things to Gabriel, and he recognizes when he's telling Gabriel this, he recognizes that these are the words that he needs someone to tell him. And so he's got this moment where he's going, "Oh my gosh, I'm telling this guy this thing that I need to hear." And he changes to someone who can accept that it's really hard right now, but it's not always going to be that way, and that Arj has the ability to move beyond it, to take control, so to say, and to become the person that he wants to become. And so that happens beautifully between these two characters, Gabriel and Arj, on a park bench toward the end of the film. And then that's the kind of the emotional end, and it moves to close down the film after that. Arj, by admitting that he wants to go back to his life and give it a try, he wakes up immediately. As soon as he makes that decision, he wakes up immediately back into the situation before Gabriel intervened. And Yeah, he knows he's in a hard situation, but he makes moves until the end of the film to improve that situation. And we see him smiling. We see some kind of a montage of him quitting the gig economy, and pursuing a different thing, taking some risks, and then we expect him to be able to perceive within his station in life. We also see Jeff, who got back with his memory. He actually Jeff was the is the venture capitalist, and Jeff actually goes into a meeting and he basically says, "Look, our entire empire is built on a house of cards. It's built on the backs of a whole bunch of really unhappy people. And so we're going to change. We're going to change how we do business." And he therefore moves to adjust his software businesses that have been kind of nickel and diming the gig economy workers. He's going to change those systems so that they are more fair. Jeff kind of has this realization. As I said earlier on, he didn't his arc. He didn't have any problems when we met him, except that he didn't know what he didn't know. And then through this experience of being a gig economy worker, of struggling, of working as hard as you can and still not being able to survive, Jeff takes that experience back to his position of power toward the end of the film. I had a great time watching this one. I was so happy to have a comedy to laugh out loud. Uh, the writing was wonderful for me to pick up on. I love how each of the characters kind of go. The character that they become is the opposite of the character that they are in the beginning of the film, and so they all have this very steep character arc that I just loved to follow. I hope you get to see the film. I hope you enjoyed watching it if you did, and I hope you like this video. We'll see you next time.